the Mackenzie Wallace, Brian Wallace, James Napier profile was on here. And these are pedos. And I forgot to say, pedophiles, kill yourself. That's I always sign off. I just forgot to say it. So, Mackenzie, you pedophiles, all you friar pedophiles out there, kill yourself, please. Anyway, this is proto-Zionism, something I'd never heard of. You know, most of you believe that all of this sort of started with the I wish you thought the No, all of you believe this started with the Balfour Declaration and, 1916, blah, blah, blah. You haven't bothered to... Like, most of you don't even know what HASBARA is. And it's not even a knock on you, even a little bit. You don't know what HASBARA is because you're not supposed to know what HASBARA is. You're supposed to be a dumb sheep. And as a dumb sheep, what value do you have? What value do you have as a dumb Goyim, right? You're supposed to pick things up and put them down. You're supposed to build things and keep your mouth shut. And so to educate you in ways that can't benefit them, that don't benefit them or doesn't benefit them, they're not going to do that. You have to do that on your own. And so something like HASBARA is literally translates to, well, they say it's explaining, because it used to be that it was considered propaganda, but propaganda has such a negative tone to it. So they changed it to explaining. It means explaining. And it's literally, friar propaganda being pushed on us. Wow. The page closed. Let's try this again. Proto-Zionism. Proto-Zionism, or forerunner of Zionism, Hebrew, pronounced Mivasri Hat Zionut, Zionut, is a concept in historiography describing Jewish thinkers active during the second half of the 19th century who were deeply affected by the idea of modern nationalism spreading in Europe at the time. Literally, like national propaganda shit. That's this, at least according to the historical narrative, is when they first started using that idea. That we're different. Nationalism. They sought to establish a friar homeland in the land of Israel. The central activity of these men took place between the years 1860 and 1874, before the establishment of practical Zionism in 1881 and political Zionism in 1896. Did you guys know that there were all these different Zionisms? It is for this reason that they are called precursors of Zionism, or proto-Zionists. Moses Hess, Zvi Hirsch, Kalisher, and Judah Alakai. I mean, it's all the same fucking characters. They just shade it. That guy looks like Frederick Douglass. They just made it look more white. Well, the 17th century raised the overall idea among friars and non-friars of, quote, restoring friars to Israel naturally by settlement and political action. How is that naturally? And restoring them to Israel. Why would they need, it's just so stupid. It's just so stupid, at least by the way we're told the world works. Now, if there's some other something going on that we don't know about, well, that might be different. But it's so disgusting. It really is disgusting how they operate, in this notion that this book that they made, that they provided, that they wrote, that literally only benefits them. Like, I don't even understand. Like, as a Christian, what's your benefit from the Bible? That you get to go to heaven when you die? Is that literally it? Because the rest of the Bible seems to be like, hey, follow what the friars tell you. If you follow the friar rules, then you get to pay off at the end. But I don't understand what the benefit of Christianity is during life, other than other Christians, won't discriminate against you as much. People can love everything about you until they find out that you don't believe in their thing too. And if you don't believe in Jesus like they believe in Jesus, they'll discriminate against you. They're motherfuckers like that. But let's keep going. I just find it so fascinating that every single time I look into Jewish anything, it just furthers it. Like, it shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be so easy for me to blow this whole thing into bits like I do. But this is what they want us to know, right? This is their shit. And for anybody that's questioning things, well, we gotta always do this, right? Just to make sure we're all on the same page and no false accusations get made or any sort of anything like that. So this is Naftali Bennett. At the time, he's a future prime minister. Now he is a former prime minister. And this is what he says to the look at this. We have people making fake profiles so they can be here. You have Naftali Bennett saying to the IsraelNationalNews.com the truth. Let's find out the truth.
Metzitzia, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to
we're trying to teach. Yeah, that's it.
Which is the number one source of information
he doesn't fuck up
in
unless
the world.
he's trying to cover
As a way
something.
of example, if someone searches,
see, he says all this, no problem.
We want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
You understand that? Balanced and Zionist in nature. Balanced and Zionist, not balanced and paints the Jews fairly. Like I always point out, he even thinks about it. He's trying to decide the best way to put things. And in his infinite wisdom, he goes, Zionism. Because even after giving it a thought, even after thinking, is this maybe a little, he was like, nah, fuck it, I'll say it. Because that's exactly what he wants. He wants things to have that Zionist perspective. It's Tracy Werner. What's up, Tracy? I don't know who that is, but I forget things sometimes. While the 17th century raised the overall idea among friars and non-friars of restoring the friars to Israel naturally by settlement and political action, what about the 17th century? What about the 1600s raised that overall idea? Who outside of them thought, man, we really should give them their own homeland. We really should give them what they want. Who was thinking that? The ultimate goal was not yet clearly defined. Wait a minute. Ooh. So if by the 1600s, oh, Jesus, one got stuck. Sorry, guys. I gotta love when you're coughing and drinking at the same time. So this doesn't even make much sense. If restoring Jews to Israel isn't the ultimate goal, then what is? If the ultimate goal was not yet clearly defined, but the overall idea of restoring Jews to Israel. It's just so arrogant. You know, it's just so weird to think anybody would give a shit. And we're talking about, you know, such a small percentage. I mean, they make up 0.183% of the world's population today. 2% of the United States population. So what do you think their population numbers were like in the 1600s? These ideas did not unite people to action and relied on the national project and the state, the Jewish nation. The state is the Jewish nation? What? I mean, it's weird. This is what it says. These ideas did not unite people to action and relied on the national project and the state, the S is capitalized, and then in parentheses it says the Jewish nation. What does that mean? What does the Jewish nation mean? The group of men considered to be proto-Zionists includes Yehuda Bibas, 1789 to 1852, Judah Elkalai, 1798 to 1878. Man, these guys are living long lives. Zvi Hirsch Kalischer, 1795 to 1874. Philosopher, he gets his own title, philosopher Moses Hess, 1812 to 1875. And Moses Montefiore, 1784 to 1885. He lived to be 101 years old through the 17 and 1800s. I'm surprised the world hasn't broken you yet with all the empathy. Oh, well, the thing is, when you're right, when you're telling the truth, you know, I struggle not to be motivated. I struggle with, like, there are plenty of days where I'm like, I don't want to go live today, but then I do. It's everywhere. And I keep saying, my goals, my whole thing in all this is from a pure, a truly selfish perspective. I practice true selfishness. And true selfishness is me wanting myself, my wife, and my kids to live the happiest, healthiest, safest lives we can live. And the only way that can happen is if everyone else is living the happiest, healthiest, safest lives they can live. What? You are live. I've been bounced around, so Ething chronic. I took a screenshot of some of it. So, you know, I mean, it's a simple ass question. So is Karen lying or am I censored? Why would Karen have any difficulty whatsoever finding my page? I mean, what is that how it works for you with anybody else? Anyone out there struggle? Anyone out there prevented from watching someone? Outside of their efforts, obviously. All right, let's look up the history. Well, I guess we'll go background first, right? So this Muhammad Ali guy, I had no idea. Muhammad Ali, the character of Muhammad Ali, was such a prominent figure in Jewish lore. Don't you think that's just interesting? Cassius Clay was taken in and completely brainwashed by the black Muslims, the Nation of Islam. And when he, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who turned out to be a real motherfucker. Go figure. He wasn't some prophet. He was just some douchebag. But that's just it. Most of you have no concept of the Nation of Islam's origins. Most of you really don't know shit about anything. But the Nation of Islam was supposedly founded by a guy called Wallace Fard Muhammad, amongst, 8 or 10 other names he was known by, I guess, who looked like a young Netanyahu. Not really. Muhammad Ali is the most famous Muslim in the world. You're so dumb. You're so dumb. I've never heard about Muhammad Ali until I started looking into Jewish history. Muhammad Ali, I mean, seriously. Our Muhammad Ali is one of the most famous people in the world, if not the most famous person in the world. He was at his prime. And when you look at everything associated with this guy, what he was allowed to do, get away with, all that stuff, sure seems strange. Sure seems strange. What I think is due to the mass reporting that you get. Yeah, no duh. It's not because I provide an inferior product. That has been proven time and time again. They literally send their bots to mass report this feed so that it gets buried. You never heard of Muhammad Ali until you started reaching Jewish history. Do you ever think that maybe we're not talking about the boxer here, miss? At least not entirely. You understand that Muhammad Ali is not the only person, the boxer is not the only person? That the Muhammad Ali you're talking about is literally a creation? Well, I guess so is this one. Because Muhammad Ali seized power of the Ottoman Egypt in 1805, following a civil war, of course, between the reigning Mamluks and the Ottomans. It's not the Mamelukes, it's the Mamluks. M-A-M-L-U-C-K, or L-U-K-S. Muhammad Ali dreamed of a new Egypt rising from the ashes of the Ottoman decline. I am well aware that the Ottoman Empire is heading day by day towards destruction. On its ruins, I will build a vast kingdom up to the Euphrates and the Tigris. Or the Tigris. Yeah, the Tigris. Ouch. He envisioned the Levant as the breadbasket of Egypt, supplying Egypt with agricultural with agricultural production and conscripts for their wars against the Ottomans. Dun dun dun! Most of the Muslim Arab peasantry in Palestine turned against Ibrahim Pasha, Ali's eldest son and successor, as his constant demands for conscript soldiers came to be seen as a death sentence, leading to the 1834 Peasants' Revolt in Palestine. So, yet again, you hear this sort of narrative where on the surface it seems like one thing, but if you just look a little deeper, it kind of seems like they're pooling all of their people from Palestine to send them off to die. It sounds like a Palestinian depopulation. The Greater Israel Project. Yeah. Just the Greater Israel Project is basically returning the land of Israel. And as much as I hate talking about the past, I really do. I hate going into these 1800s bullshit things because there's nothing we can do to change it. But two, we don't even know if it's true. We just know what we're told. And my hope is, it's you can't, if it was just about saying, hey, look at what's happening today and use your common sense, then it wouldn't be what it is. There'd be no way people would allow this genocide, amongst other things, to be happening. So we have to figure out a way to get people to see the obvious. And maybe that's by showing them that it's all a lie. I don't know. This was the backdrop against which proto-Zionism developed as more Jews started immigrating to the region under Ibrahim Pasha's rule. I mean, do you see it? If they were so persecuted and it was so dangerous for them, why are they specifically moving to Palestine under this one dude's rule who's seemingly trying to depopulate Palestine by demanding soldiers that go die on the front lines? It makes no sense. Like it makes no sense if you're looking at it from the history is real, not manufactured kind of way. You just take it at face value. Aren't the Muslims the one that supposedly hate the Jews the most? So why is it when a devout Muslim called Muhammad Ali is in charge, this is when the friars really get their foot? Like, clearly, this is a long game, right? This is the long game. They're not playing the short game. They could afford to play the long game. After the Ottomans regained control of the Levant in the Oriental Crisis of 1840, dun, dun, dun. I mean, it's so stupid. It really is so stupid. It's not like they were after oil, so what the fuck? Why would this, with all of the world that's available to you, you're going to focus on Palestine for what? It's not even like it's this, this hugely productive, beautiful area. I mean, it is, but it's not like, it's actually paradise. What am I talking about? Those beaches, like if it wasn't the Israeli farm that it is, it would just be beautiful. The legal structures of the land ownership underwent significant reform as part of the Tanzimat era beginning with the Land Code of 1858. Once based on cultivation, land ownership was now based on title and register, paving the way for later land purchases by Zionists. Almost like that's why it was done in the first place. Because they couldn't, your ownership of the land being based on the work you put in, well, they're not going to work. They're the laziest, most entitled pieces of shit in the world. Ownership can't be based on contribution. So weird. It's now based on cultivation, or it's now based on title and register. So you used to be able to say, this is my fucking family's living here for generations. You have to have the title of landowner that has to be registered with the friar-owned system, which again paves the way for later land purchases by Zionists. Remember, this is Wikipedia. This is what they want us to know. When the sugar-coated story still makes you look like monsters, imagine what the real story is. The medieval Jewish Torah scholar Maimonides, again, we're back here, advocated a reestablishment of Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel in a lengthy preface to his 13 Principles of Faith. You know those medieval guys. They weren't just trying to stay alive. They weren't just fighting for something to eat every day. Nah. It's just like life today. By the way, if you are watching, you can see this. You're allowed here. Fucking share it, man. Help out. We have to override this bullshit. I mean, again, why aren't the friars, the Israelis, sharing the shit out of my feed? Because I'm telling you their history. Shouldn't they be proud of this shit? He wrote that friar national independence would come about through natural means and argued for political activism to bring it up. So it would come through natural means, but we need to make the laws and shit make this happen. Yeah, that doesn't sound very natural, does it? It sounds manufactured. Likewise, the medieval Jewish philosopher Judah Halevi also espoused proto-Zionist ideas, writing that only in the land of Israel could Jews be truly secure. Gosh, it almost sounds like this has been the rhetoric the whole fucking time. So all of these people who are, these Christian truthers out there who are talking about, oh, it's the Balfour Declaration, This goes back way further. They've been literally saying the same shit the whole time. They're not arguing. It's not like they're saying, yes, we need a homeland just like everybody does. What we should do is make a land for people that want to believe this and for people that want to believe that and for, they're not advocating for that. According to Ben Zion Denur, the Aliyah of Judah, he has said, his name is Judah, he has it. It's H-E, capital H-A-S-I-D. He has said. That's his real name, right? He's from the long lines of he has saids. Let's look up Judah, he has said. His name is Judah, he Hasid, Sigal Ha Levi. Or Yehuda, he has said. Judah the Pious, circa 1660 in Sidlais, died October 19th, 1700 in Jerusalem, Ottoman Syria. Was a Jewish preacher who led the largest organization or organized group of Jewish immigrants to the land of Israel in the 17th and 18th century. But, this is his character description. Almost like he doesn't exist. Almost like it's a fake story. Departure from Europe. He has said, traveled from one Jewish community to another throughout Poland, urging repentance, asceticism, physical mortification, physical mortification. Oh yeah, that's where you self-flag that's when you whip yourself. You put the whip. It's it's like a giant paintbrush with long ass bristles on it, and then on the ends of it are little hard bits, rocks or whatever, and you whip yourself with it. All right, that's these guys. Strangely enough, self-flagellation is the disciplinary and devotional practice of flogging oneself with whips or other instruments that inflict pain. In Christianity, self-flagellation is practiced in the context of the doctrine of the mortification of the flesh and is seen as a spiritual discipline. It is often used as a form of penance and is intended to allow the flagellant to share in the sufferings of Jesus, bringing their focus to God. The main religions that practice self-flagellation include some branches of Christianity and Islam. Yeah, that's weird. So why was this guy all about it? Some Jewish men practice a symbolic form of self-flagellation on the day before Yom Kippur. Gotta love it. As an enactment. It is strictly prohibited in Judaism to cause self-harm. So they pretend to? Biblical passages such as, "It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls," Leviticus 23:27, were used to justify these actions. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls. Who hears that and goes, oh, you know what? No, get yourself a big long stick and then attach a whole bunch of little whips to it and then fucking slap yourself in the back a whole bunch of times. Isn't that what you get out of that?
Oh, yeah.
Convocation is a form of gathering or assembly often used in universities for graduate ceremonies where degrees are conferred or for welcoming new students, but it also refers to governing bodies in the UK. So, a holy gathering unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls. I don't even understand, like, isn't it amazing how there's like it's never happened on here where somebody comes in and they're like, look, I'm a religious scholar. I know all this stuff. Let's have it out. And they just put me in my place. Isn't that weird? It was common practice in the Middle Ages for men to whip themselves on the back 39 times.
That's a specific number.
Yeah. Who came up with that shit? Jesus, how many times do you want them to whip themselves? God damn it! Can't these guys think of anything on their own? I don't fucking... 39 fucking times, okay? 39.
Holy Trinity 3 and the Triple Holy Trinity 9.
Yeah, that's a way... That's your 23 thing that you say I do all the time. I mean, that's a huge thing. Why would it be triple? Why would you triple 9? What would be the reason? It's fucking stupid. However, since biblical times, Judaism has largely considered Yom Kippur a day of spiritual atonement, achieved through fasting, introspection, and other interpretations, child rape, of the commandment, afflict your souls, that do not involve bodily self-harm. Right? I mean, think about it. Like, can you imagine a whole bunch of Jews? I have to do what now? You want me to do, you want me to whip myself in the back? Okay, like that? No, you got to do it really hard. Oh no, I'm not doing that. So here we have, like, we already have some shit that doesn't quite make sense. I mean, if Judaism strictly forbids self-harm, which would mean, I hope no Jews have tattoos or piercings or anything like that. But if it's strictly and it forbids self-harm, then who the fuck was doing this? It means the story isn't true. And then you look it up and they're like, oh yeah, that shit's Christians and Muslims do that. Oh yeah, Jews used to do it. Yeah. And calling for Aliyah. So just again. Okay, so this is in the early or in the mid 1600s, 1670s, 80s. This guy is traveling around Poland.
On what, a donkey?
Probably walking, because it's all about the pilgrimage and the walking. I mean, Poland is not flat. Poland is very mountainous. And when people say, clearly you're not Semitic people, you hear these narratives where this guy, apparently one of the biggest migrations of early Jews into Palestine specifically, not Yemen, not Lebanon, not Syria, not Iran, not any of that shit, specifically Palestine for whatever reason. They came from Poland. As a matter of fact, in 1697, he and 31 families of his followers left Moravia and made a stop at Nikolsburg. So, can anybody look up real quick the distance between Moravia, 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 and Israel and Palestine? Can I use your phone for a second? Do what you gotta do. Just let me know when you're ready. He has spent a year traveling throughout Germany and Moravia, gaining followers. He spent a year traveling through Germany and Moravia. So now, again, think about this. Like, just think about what you picture 1600s German life to be. How incredibly difficult 1600s German life had to be. Especially for, most of the winter. Like my bandmate's from Germany. And Germany is basically like a horizontal line from Michigan over into Europe. And they get ass kick winters. It's cold for I'll just be real quick. Let me see something real quick. Moravia to Palestine. Moravia refers to significant historical migration, primarily Jewish people, fleeing persecution in Bohemia and Moravia, part of modern-day Czech Republic, to the British Mandate of Palestine in the 1930s and 40s. No, that's not what we're talking about. But isn't that weird that it repeats exactly so much so that the narrative is you know, it's identical? Key connections and context: pre-World War I, and Jews from Moravia, a region with a rich Jewish history, sought escape from rising Nazi threats, and many attempting to reach Palestine via illegal immigration, Aliyah Bet, before and during World War II. Post-World War II and statehood. After the Holocaust, survivors from Czechoslovakia, including Moravia, massively immigrated to the nascent state of Israel, established in Palestine in May of 48. It's almost like it was a big giant plan the whole fucking time. Figures like Anna Tisho, I don't know, a noted artist, had family roots in Moravia, linking individuals and cultural heritage to this journey to Jerusalem, Palestine. The land, it says, in quotes, Palestine, like it's not a thing. Palestine refers to the territory under British mandate, later partitioned into Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza, a region holy to Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Even if you were going with like alphabetical, Christians would go first. So why do the Jews go first? Every time. In essence, it's a narrative of survival, aliyah, return to Zion, and nation building, connecting Central European Jewish communities with the ancient land of Israel. Yeah. Can you just tell me the fucking miles? Moravia to Palestine covers vast distances in different eras. If you mean Great Moravia, Central Europe to the Holy Land, it's thousands of miles, around 1,500 to 2,000 plus by land and sea. While if you mean the modern Czech region of Moravia to the state of Palestine, it's roughly 2,000 to 2,300 air miles. A journey of over 1,500 miles. How does 2,000 to 2,300 air miles equal 1,500 miles? Historical Great Moravia to Holy Land. This involves crossing Europe and the Mediterranean Middle East. By medieval standards, Crusades eras, it's a long, arduous journey, roughly 1,500 to 2,000 miles, or 2,400 to 3,200 kilometers, depending on routes. So, thank you. So how many of you still believe that it's even fucking possible for this piece of shit guy to have him in 1697, he and 31 families of his followers left Moravia and made a stop at Nikosberg. What? Huh? I don't know. Go away. Goofball. So 31 families, and they're friars, so they're probably pretty large families, especially back then. So let's just say each family had 4 people. More than likely it's more, and probably a lot of really young children. This guy was like, hey, let's go to this place that none of you have ever actually seen or know even exists. You don't actually know it exists. There's not like YouTube and shit, Google and shit for you to look it up. You just have to trust that this guy, for some reason, this guy knows about it. And he knows that not only will you make it there, but you'll be safe once you get there. How the fuck would he know that in 1600s? How would he convince you? Think about this. What would it take to convince you to sell everything you have, pack up your family, and walk your happy ass at least 1,500 miles because some guy said so? What could they present you with?
Nothing.
To get you that. So even if it was like when you get there, you don't have to pay taxes, you'll be free, blah, 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 you would still wouldn't do it.
Nope. Nothing. Not a goddamn thing.
And remember, this is over, land and sea. There's a part where they have to cross over the water. There's mountains. There's... How are you feeding the 31 families? And see, this is one of those things where I would just love to hear what somebody has to say. Come on, friars. Come on, Israelis. You are so proud of what you believe in that you will genocide other people over it. So why would you be upset? Why would you be hesitant to talk to me about what is super important? It's a super important piece of your history. And the thing is, this is what they do. Like their whole history is, oh yeah, we were kicked out of one place and we had to go someplace else, and we want, again, the most ridiculous story in the Bible is Exodus. As crazy as that sounds, because literally the Bible is full of ridiculous, utter fucking insane nonsense. And to think there's something that actually tops that, there's something on top of that, Sodom and Gomorrah bullshit and Noah's Ark bullshit and Genesis and all this other shit. There's something worse than that, something dumber than all of that. And that's Exodus. That's me supposed to believe that what the fuck? That 2 million Jews wandered around the desert for 40 years. I'm sorry, I just don't believe that. And for me to believe that, you're going to have to provide me with something. I'm not just going to believe it because some lying-ass group of fucking savages tells me to. Like, people just don't understand. This is fucking insane. And it's the same goddamn narrative over and over again, to the point where when I looked it up, Google was like, oh, you mean this time? And I was like, no, I mean a different time. When they colonized Palestine. These people have been supposedly colonizing Palestine for such a long fucking time. They are just the worst people in the fucking world. They are so disgusting. And again, their story is just bullshit. It's just nonsensical bullshit. So 31 families left from Moravia and made a stop in Nicholsburg, where he then spent a year traveling around Europe, gathering up all the dumb Jews he could find, and getting them to want to move, to sell all their shit, and move to Israel, which didn't even exist. By the time the whole group gathered in Italy, they numbered about 1,500. He convinced 1,500 people to do this. Now, again, please, let's try to break this down. 1,500 people are what? Did he have a map? Did they just, well, as long as we keep heading heading to the west, or headed to the east, we'll get there. It's not like there's a whole range of places they could go to, and this area they're talking about is actually relatively small in comparison. Nah. Just head east. Just head east. You'll get there. You'll know it when you get there, because look it, we have signs. They're in Yiddish and English and Arabic. We have Arabic signs. There's no genocide. We have signs written in Arabic. Almost a third of the pilgrims died of hardships and illness during the trip. On the way, they contracted debts. In exchange for permission to enter the Ottoman Empire, they were forced to give Turkish authorities financial guarantees in the name of Jerusalem's Jewish community. How? How? And what do we talk? So they're all walking. A third of them have died now. So we're talking about 1,000 are left. They get to the Ottoman Empire, where I guess there's a big wall or something, a big door. And they're like, okay, well, we got to get some guarantees here. So one of them was like, okay, I'll go talk to the king. And so they all just sat there and waited outside the door until he went and had his meeting with the king, where he offered some financial guarantees in the name of Jerusalem's Jewish community. Does anybody think this is real? The group arrived in Jerusalem on October 14th, 1700, exactly. So basically, from the time they first left Moravia, it's been about 3 years. Now, we don't know exactly when in 1697 they took off. That little detail is left out. But we're talking about October 14th. I'm surprised it's not October 7th. At the time, about 200 Ashkenazi and about 1,000 Sephardi Jews lived in the city, mostly on charities from the Jewish diaspora. So, we know that in around 1700, there were about 1,200 Jews in the entire region. We know who they were. And they lived off of charity, welfare. Apparently, all the other Jews around the world knew their address and sent them money every day, or every so often. They didn't work. They didn't provide any valuable service to the people. They lived on charities. The sudden influx of Jewish immigrants produced a crisis. The local community was unable to help such a large group. In addition, some of the newcomers were suspected to be Sabbateans, whom the local Jewish population, I wonder if that's where the word sabotage and saboteurs came from, with whom the local Jewish population viewed with hostility. Ooh, you're one of them. You would think if you only had 1,200 of your kind and you were constantly under persecution, fleeing from every country in the world, nobody likes you for no reason whatsoever, you're so nice to everybody, you would think you would welcome numbers. You would think, oh yes, we need your help. Thank you. You'd think it'd be something along those lines. Is the comment section killed? It's been a while since there's been a comment, so I'm wondering if the comment section's been shut down. I usually assume it has at this point. The situation grew worse when he has said died within days of his arrival in Jerusalem. After all of that bullshit, walking for 3 years and convincing so many people to join him. He dies just days after getting there in exactly 1700, where there are exactly, no, not exact, I'm sorry, about 200 Jews and about a Ashkenazi and about 1,000 Sephardi. They weren't arrogant enough to say the exact number. Died within. He is buried on the Mount of Olives. Of course he is. Emissaries were sent to the Council of the Four Lands for aid, but it did not arrive. What the fuck are we talking about here? The Council of Four Lands was a central body of Jewish authority in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth from the second half of the 16th century to 1764, located in Lublin. The council's first law is recorded as having been passed in 1580. 70 delegates from local Quehilot, Quehillot, met to discuss taxation and other issues important to the Jewish community. You hear that? They met to discuss taxation and other stuff that's important to them. Isn't it weird how the obviously mentioned by name is not just money, but money that they take from other people? The Four Lands were Greater Poland, Lesser Poland, Galicia with Podolia, and Volhynia. You ever heard of anything other than Poland? Nope. The earliest form of the council was organized in 1514 by Sigismund the First. Sigismund I the Old. His name was the Old. Yep. And Abraham of Bohemia was put in charge of it. Sigismund I the Old, born January 1st. Another one of these guys that is born on January 1st. Yeah, born on January. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's the most popular birthday amongst Jewish communities. January 1st. Like, that's some lazy-ass storytelling, if you ask me. And he died on April 1st, April Fool's Day, 1548. Roughly 80 years old, 79 years old. No, 81 years old, my bad. Was King of Poland and Grand Duke of Lithuania from 1506 until his death in 1548. I thought they were persecuted people. Why would you pose in that way? Why would this be the position you're like, hey, I'm going to face forward. I'm going to turn my head so abnormally to the side. I want you to see my, you know how hard.
Maybe he's got like.
His neck isn't even straining.
Maybe his face is falling apart on the other side.
Yeah, that's what it is.
What the fuck was it? Where all the shit's falling off of him. The disease.
Yeah, lepers.
Leper. Maybe he was a leper.
Yeah, leprosy. Yeah. Yeah, so he just was like, I want a painting of myself, but I'm just going to stand here like this for hours and let you paint it.
Ridiculous.
I got a little crick in my neck. Look at this shit. How accurate do you think that is? Look at that. Look at that schnoz. Look at the little bump that's built for glasses. Hello, people. Sigismund I was a member of the Jagiellonian dynasty, the son of Casimir IV and younger brother of Kings John I Albert, and Alexander I Jagiellon. He was nicknamed the Old in later historiography to distinguish him from his son and successor, Sigismund II Augustus. Right? Because, like, the names wouldn't have been enough. Before ascending to the Polish and Lithuanian thrones, he was Duke of Glogau from 1499, Duke of Opavia from 1501, and Governor of Silesia from 1504 on behalf of his brother, King Vladislas II of Bohemia and Hungary. This whole thing is just so fucking crazy. In Polish, it was referred to, we're going back to the Council of Four Lands. In Polish, it was referred to as the Jewish SEJM. How do you say that? Shem? In Latin, it was referred to as the Jewish General Congress, Congressius Generalis Ludicrous. What? That's ludicrous, right? All right. That's ludicrous, right? That's what it said. I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Yes. So, the Jewish General Congress in Latin is referred to as the Congressius Generalis Ludicus. Or the Congress Generalis Ludarium. Why are they called the Ludicus? The terms Council of Three Lands and Council of Five Lands have also been used for the same body. In 1623, the Jewish communities from the Grand Duchy of Lithuania withdrew from the Council of Four Lands and established the Council of the Land of Lithuania. Va'ad Mednet Lita, sometimes translated as simply the Council of Lithuania. Place in Jewish European life. Page from the Minute Book of the Council, obverse and reverse, once in the possession of Shimon Dubanow. Well, I don't know how you couldn't think that was fucking proof right there, right? It's not like you can do things to paper to make it look old. The great number of the Jewish population of Poland, its importance in the industrial life of the country, and the peculiarities of the political and class organization of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth were the reasons why the Jews of Poland formed a separate class enjoying a liberal autonomy within the sphere of their communal and spiritual interests, the outcome of which was their exemplary communal organization. It's just so much better than everybody. A Jewish community, with its administrative, judicial, religious, and charitable institutions, constituted a unit of self-government. Why? Why would they be allowed to, like, that means they're above the royalty, right? When they don't have to observe the same laws and decrees passed down by the the monarchy in charge at the time, if they have their own autonomous self-rule, how? I thought the kings and shit of the day were like, that's mine. You need to pay me because that's mine. Like, don't you think this is weird? So I guess the comment section did get shut off again. So what's happening if you're commenting and I'm not responding? Well, I can't see them. The term kala or kahal denoted both the community. A community was known also as a kala kadisha or holy community, and the autonomous communal administration, the two concepts being identical. The administrative functions, the assessment of state and charitable and communal taxes, always number one is those taxes. The supervision of charitable institution, more money, etc. That's what it is. They give you two examples of money and then say etc. 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 No, just know that like the etc. is like us building stuff, us working really, really hard. We just didn't feel like bragging. Of the kahal were performed by elective kahal elders when its rabbis, or its rabbis, doctries judorum, had charge of religious and judicial affairs. That's the Council of Four Lands. That's literally like number of delegates and frequency of meetings. Well, let's see this. I do want to see this actually. During the second half of the 17th century, so 1650 and beyond, the sessions of the council occurred once or twice a year, more frequently in Yaroslav than in Lublin. Not Dublin, Lublin. The number of delegates cannot be exactly ascertained. One source notes that one representative to the council was elected from each kahal, and that in addition, the 6 leading rabbis of Poland were appointed as delegates to the council. It appears from the Kahal Panas, the Kahal Panasis. Check it out. The Canal Pinasis. Yes, Pinasis. They have lots of Pinases there. You Pinas. That only the most important queliate of each region sent delegates to the council. The capitals, Poznań, Krakow, Lviv, and Ostrog of the four lands, each sent 2 or even more delegates. Isn't it funny how we know all of this other shit, right? You know, we know that in 1697 this, and we know that, and we know this. But when it comes to how many people actually attended the show, yeah, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know about the delegates. Come on. We're telling you a narrative. Why are you asking for details? What the hell's wrong with you? The signatures of 15 to 25 delegates, though often the signatures of the 6 rabbis. What is the rabbis? Rabbis. That's not rabbis, is it? Isn't rabbis just S? Or is it IS? No, it is IS. So it is rabbis. My bad. Rabbis are usually found attached to the extant decisions of the wa'ads. The total number of delegates, together with the rabbis, evidently reached 30. In the 18th century, the council's operations became increasingly limited. Its sessions were held less regularly, mainly in Yaroslav. One of the last important congresses was was that held in Yaroslav in the fall of 1753. I mean, all this stuff is just so goofy to me. Like, so just think about. Okay, so it wasn't like the congresses were held on the same day in the same place every year. It says it, right? Sometimes they met once a year, sometimes they met twice a year, sometimes it was here, sometimes it was there. So these guys didn't know, and I would imagine Yaroslav and Lublin are actually probably farther apart than you might think. I mean, maybe they're close. Maybe they're close by today's standards, but we're talking about the 1650s. Where, you know, traveling much more than like 10 miles was a lot. A lot. So, let's say they have one of these meetings, these delegate meetings. So, somebody has to go to wherever, you know, first of all, it has to be decided. Somebody has to decide, we're going to have the thing in Yaroslav, or we're going to have it in Lublin. So that somebody has to go to wherever that place is, find whatever location they decide to use, set up the rental, hey, we're going to need this hall for this amount of period of time on these dates. Now, I mean, again, I don't know. From what history will tell us, those type of things, like what you see when you see pictures of like London and shit like that, that's what it looked like back then. A lot of those buildings are still around. So we have to remember that they are having these meetings more than likely in these large, grand ballroom hall, whatever it is. You know, by candlelight and shit, of course. Lamps. But then you also have to say, all of these people need a place to stay when they come here. So, hotel arrangements have to be made. You have to assume that, again, we are talking about a time when there were no shipping companies. There were no grocery stores for there to be daily deliveries of supplies. So even if you just have 30 delegates and they're gumads, then that's still it's like an additional 90 meals every day that this town has to be able to produce. And considering these guys are the fucking delegates, you know, they're not eating slop and shit on a shingle. According to what they'll tell us, these guys would be walking around in Shakespearean fucking outfits, multiple layers. They would go to the grand hall with paintings and gold everywhere, and they'd be at this big ass table, and you know, we know what the opulence, when you think of the opulence of back in the day, you know what I'm talking about. We've been shown that same picture a gazillion times. So once the arrangements are made, then somebody has to send out correspondence with each of these delegates all over the community, all 30 different delegates. So what? You have to write your 30 different letters, and then somebody has to take them directly to wherever that area is. And we're not talking about USPS mail and shit. My wife is a huge proponent and fan of the pigeons. So I'm sure her response would be they used pigeons, which is, you know, about as legitimate as it gets when it comes to this shit. Literally, it's what they tell us used to be a thing. I remember being a kid and just being like, how do you tell the pigeon to go somewhere? What if you get one of the numbers wrong and they take it to the house down the street? Well, back then, everybody was like John of Farmington, so
Well, one of the
you would
ways.
you know if the letter was addressed to John, you knew who to take. No, oh, pigeon. Hey, John lives a couple miles that way.
So, in Game of Thrones, one of the ways that they, they were the families were at war or whatever. One of the ways that they hurt and crippled the other side was.
I think I saw this part.
They ravaged a little village and took all the ravens because the ravens there now.
Right, ravens, right.
And killed all the ravens.
But
so no communication could get out, letting anybody know they had taken this village, and it worked.
I mean, you have to understand that other than like the dragon aspect of Game of Thrones, they really supposedly they were going for hyper realism.
Yeah.
They researched this and they researched that and they implemented this and they filmed in these conditions and all that shit.
I will say a lot of the subtleties are rather brilliant.
But if anything, it should show you just how ridiculous the narrative is. Because, there's never the episode where they build the fucking castle. What ravens they were using to build the castles with, or the dragons. But at least they would have had dragons. If you had dragons and you could control and talk to dragons, then at least you could be like, all right, dragon, pick up that big giant block with your big giant dragon hand and put it over there. But like, this is the stuff that always just fascinates me so much. So correspondence goes out to all the different delegates. Delegates then have to RSVP, letting people know that they will. How long would it take that original communication to get to said delegate? I mean, they're all over the place, so some are going to be further than others, correct? So how, we're talking about weeks, months in some cases. You got to cross some sort of mountain range to be able to get to the delegate over in the next town or whatever. So now you have, as the planner, like, you have to think, okay, so at what point would they decide they were going to have the meeting? And then they would have to decide, okay, we're going to have this meeting in like 2 months. It would have to be months. Because you would have to facilitate all of the logistics. And this is not an easy task. So once the RSVPs are signed, then it takes another couple weeks, months to get back to that original person somehow, unless it's the pigeons. But they then have to, okay, they got all the RSVPs. So now all of these delegates have to make their way to wherever this place is. Now we're talking about Poland. So unless it's like summertime, it's going to be very difficult. And twice a year would imply that it probably wasn't twice in the summertime. But now all these delegates have to make these couple, I mean, if they're at the farthest reaches, we're probably talking about a couple 100 miles. Farthest reaches of Poland, I guess. I don't know. I'm not I don't know. So then they all make it there. They all have to set up in their hotel rooms. They have to eat on the way there. They have to eat just think about all these logistics, all the water. Where are they getting their drinking water from? What about the horses and shit? Just think about how difficult long travel is in today's society. with cars, and you're like, oh man, we got to drive 2 hours, 3 hours. Oh,
even to go get on a plane or whatever, it's all a pain in the ass.
you're exhausted afterwards.
Yes, totally.
Just think about the logistics behind all of this. You know what I want to look up real quick? The homing pigeon is a variety of domestic pigeon selectively bred for its ability to find its way home over extremely long distances. Okay, so think about that. So they get a bunch of pigeons and then they travel really far away and they let the pigeons go. And then the pigeons that find their way home, they're like, oh, hey, Bill's back. We should breed Bill because he found his way back here.
Mm-hmm.
And they know it's Bill because they wrote Bill on the chest.
No, stupid. You know, like a mother can tell her twins apart. They can tell each other apart. One might have one gray feather on the left side, but
Who, the breeders?
The breeders and the fellow pigeons.
Well, I don't worry about the pigeons. We have to figure out how they're breeding them. How would they even begin to breed them? Especially in the medieval times of when you know, when this was a thing, because this isn't a thing in today's society. Nobody's using carrier pigeon for anything today.
They shove them in a cage together and just watch them until they fuck.
I mean, I guess I can.
Turn on very white.
I can understand to a small degree that it might be able to find its way home. Okay.
Warm scented candle.
Sure. How do they get the bird to go to the place in the first place so then it finds its way home? Because, like, if you took the bird to where you wanted to go...
You're not flying there.
No, but you're just doing the correspondence. You're going. You're... Okay, bird.
Does he take the driving route that you took to show him? Or does
Right,
he figure out he can fly there and cut corners?
Are you taking the bird there so you can present it to somebody and then be like, okay, don't tell me your answer. Let me get home real quick. I'm gonna race home, and then when I get home, you know, like wait like 6 days because you know I gotta go like 40 miles, dude. So give me like 2 weeks, and then release the pigeon with your answer.
Now you have those dudes that, you know, primarily in New York, but there's some in Chicago and whatnot that have their pigeon coop.
Right,
On the
Mike Tyson's
buildings.
Right.
But those pigeons, as far as I know, leave and come back
as they feel like, yeah.
And they just kind of, they don't go to a specific destination. I've never heard that, you know, in real life somebody saying, "Oh yeah, I send it to my mom's house," and with a little note, and it just tickles her, you know. I mean, obviously I could call her, but
Never, not once.
This just makes her, you know, feel good. And then the pigeon comes back without the note. Never heard that.
No, the pigeon comes back with a note from the mom. Right.
You know, or
and we just send it back and forth.
Apple pie she made or something.
And then sometimes pigeon gets a little confused sometimes because I'm like, hey, go to my sister's house.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, sometimes they'll go to mom's on accident, right? But then mom will just send it on over to the sister's house.
Yeah, and if anybody's going to have that story, it would be Mike Tyson because he can afford to have the trainers, pay the trainers.
He had his pigeons when he was a kid.
You know, but, yeah.
Because of this skill, it's a skill, homing pigeons were used to carry messages. Both. It'd have to be both. Were used to carry messages, a practice referred to as... Okay, wait, you know what? I'm going to reset this because I want to hear what people have to say, and I want to title this Homing Pigeons. So let's learn about homing pigeons. Come on back, and pedophiles, kill yourself.